Okay, hi. Okay. Um, okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Terry Agins. I'm a veteran fashion industry journalist and author, and I'm excited to be the moderator for our fine program today. First, let me introduce our panelists. Okay, from Adorn Insight, we have Maya Adams.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Nice to be here.
Yes. Okay, and also Juliet Hutton Squire from Adorn.
Hello, everybody. Nice that you can join us.
Great. Okay, and from Neiman Marcus, the buyer of precious jewelry, Eric Ford. And celebrity and Hollywood stylist, Tara Swinnen.
Morning, guys.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the De Beers and Couture Jewelry Trends Insights. Our esteemed panel today is tuned in to the latest in marketing of fine jewelry, as well as all the hot trends for the upcoming holiday season. Who would have dreamed or even imagined that 2020 would be characterized as the year of the global lockdown? Since March, we've been working and living inside our homes, most of us without any outside communication, limited, usually to Zoom or on social media, where we're only visible from the waist up. Indeed, this global pandemic has turned out to be the most consequential disruption in our lifetimes. And at last this fall, we're now gingerly emerging from that bubble to negotiate a new normal with new standards and practices that we're all trying to figure out as we go along. Is this stressful? You bet it's stressful. But there's also a palpable sense of optimism in the air. A few weeks ago here in New York, the Fashionista Street Parade started back up. And all the buzz was coming from all the alfresco restaurants that spill out into the streets in Manhattan. We're now rewarding ourselves and lifting our spirits, putting on the bling again, and it feels good. So what's in store for fine jewelry? There's so much to consider. De Beers commissioned Adorn Insight Marketing, the jewelry marketing consultancy based in London, to take a closer look at the prevailing trends in fine jewelry. And so here we go. Okay, you've met all the panelists, and we're going to get started. Okay, let me just give a little housekeeping here. We're going to spend about a half an hour here on stage talking, and then the last 15 minutes will be the time to we'll answer your questions, which we invite you to send in the chat box on the screen. So don't wait until the end of the until we're finished talking. Start sending your questions immediately. We have monitors to collect the questions so they can give them to me right after the presentation. Okay, so let's begin our discussion with Juliet Hutton Squire from Adorn. Okay, Juliet, the economy has stalled for most of the year. And how much of this was a big blow to luxury, the sales of luxury jewels and diamonds?
Well, as you know, we analyzed the consumer across sectors, and of course we saw a resistance to purchase initially. However, quantitative survey-based consumer insights laid out in the most recent De Beers Group Diamond Flash Report, which in fact was published today, shows some significant shifts compared to previous months. Firstly, both men and women are more likely to purchase and/or receive diamond jewelry in the next 6 months. And secondly, 2/3 of the people interviewed on the Pulse survey, American citizens, 2/3, that means 65% of Americans feel more inclined to give a significant gift to someone they love now compared to how they felt pre-pandemic. And for those in a relationship, this increase is up to 77%. So we have got some optimistic news to share today. Whilst this is encouraging, we cannot afford to be complacent in the sector. COVID-19 has dramatically changed the how, the what, and the why people shop. How? The unprecedented pivot towards digital. What? The shift towards more considered purchases. And why? The increased significance of purpose, driven mostly by sentiment and lifestyle. Understanding the essence of these questions in relation to luxury fine jewelry, product and retail, and ensuring relevant outcomes will be key to a brand's long-term survival. We also know that whilst the consumer is being more cautious and mindful about her spend, we have much to gain as a sector, given that less money is being spent on travel and experience, which has always been our competitor in the past. Overall, in a nutshell, we're optimistic that jewelry sales will be strong over this holiday season, especially for brands who have built a strong community and have solid digital and social media presence. Product and route to market go hand in hand, and consumer engagement and experience sits at the heart of every purchase. As a sector, we need to embrace and understand what the future of retail looks like. But this subject is one of my passions and perhaps a story for another day. But it's time to reimagine and shape the future of our industry. And this is our primary focus as a consultancy. For many years, we've looked to other sectors to see what everybody else is doing. And we feel now is the time for jewelry to stand up and take up the challenge and move forward like never before. So with further ado, I think Maya's going to go into a little bit more detail about what we covered in the reports in context of what I've just said.
Yeah, so thanks, Juliet. So I love the fact that both Terry and Juliet have referred to optimism, and I'm going to make it a trio. I was reading an article the other day on the phenomenon of radical optimism, and it said that optimism isn't uncool, it's rebellious, and in times of uncertainty, it's a really brave choice. So it feels like a really apt rallying cry for this webinar today, and I hope by the time we finish, we've all given you reasons to feel optimistic about the future of our industry. So I'm sure you'll all have a chance to read the article, so I won't go into too much detail, but just some top line things that sprung out for us in the process of our report. The stories that we wrote were very wide ranging in their scope. The connecting thread that unites them really is the global pandemic, and how it has cast certain consumer trends that already existed, but has really cast them into the spotlight and accelerated their evolution and is shaping them in ways that had been, unprecedented 6 months ago. So what does that mean for our industry, and particularly, luxury jewelry and diamonds? One of the things that we looked at a lot is this phenomenon of investing in the best, or buy less, buy better. So, of course, when so many people have been suffering economic hardship and continue to do so, showy excess kind of feels a little bit out of keeping with the times. But people still want to spend, they still want to indulge, they still want to mark special moments. So people who have the means to do so, we see them investing in items that really stand the test of time and which represent value in different ways, so financial, emotional, practical. One of the things that stands out in this particular thread is the idea that rather than buying a piece that is similar to, a kind of a piece that isn't unique, is to buy a classic with a twist that represents a value sort of investment. So a piece that I really love is Suzanne Kaeland, who creates these amazing Eternity diamond rings, which feature baguette diamonds set on the fireworks setting. So they're slightly topsy-turvy, and they're a really lovely take on a classic with a twist. We're also seeing a more bohemian way of styling fine jewelry. So, we're seeing a mixing of high and low. It's free-spirited, everyday diamonds worn in a casual context. It's really about loving our diamonds rather than locking them up. So for us as an industry, this presents a fantastic opportunity to present diamonds in a more accessible and fun way, especially for the younger consumer that we're also keen to court. As we saw, the natural world flourished during lockdown. So there's been an inevitable interest in nature, which among many other ways that it translates is translating into a focus on so-called natural materials. So in terms of diamonds, we can see a sort of rafted design coming through with rough and included diamonds that are really exciting. And we can see a real mix of high and low diamonds, which I guess, if you look at pieces like Sylvia Furmanovich, she combines wood marquetry with diamonds. And these really encourage us and the consumer to broaden our definition of luxury. And last but not least, lockdown really ignited a renewed interest in artisanal practices. So whereas the luxury industry has always seen craftsmanship as a signifier of authenticity and exclusivity, craftsmanship has now become cool to the mainstream. And I would encourage you all to go and look at a chap called Jerry Soon, who graduated from the Royal College of Art this summer and won the Excellent Award. And he combines amazing craftsmanship with digital technology to just this fantastic effect. And I think that he is someone who will be inspiring us as an industry to consider new possibilities and a new language for luxury jewelry.
Wow. Okay, well, we're going to come back to you guys as we go on, but I now want to pop over to Eric Ford, because Eric, you're on the front lines in the retail industry and at Neiman Marcus. And so we were talking in preparation for the talk, and you were telling me a lot about earrings and other, what people are buying nowadays. So give us a sense of what's going on in the marketplace. You were telling me about that anecdote about your sister.
Earrings have very popular, classification for us this season, and I think part of that is because most people are looking at you from here up. So what I told my sister was, I gave her a pair of earrings for her birthday, which was last week, and I said, you know what? These fabulous earrings, pull your hair back, put some lipstick on and a cute top, and you look great for every day. And she loved that idea, so it's very true. But what I can say is that we've had very, very classic button earrings that we've sold, simple things that people can wear so they can put masks on and take masks off. But we haven't shied away from those people who don't care about that. They're sort of like, I want to walk in and buy this amazing pair of earrings, and for whatever occasion I wear them, I will wear them, And I think we have to remember, although we're living in this pandemic, a lot of the consumers that are buying high-end jewelry, their world is still a little different. Sometimes they are taking, very cautious about what they're doing, but they also are attending functions and going to things just in a more separate. I'm sure they're further than 6 feet, but they're still going to walk in and make sure you see their jewelry from across the room. So that is still happening, and we're still selling for those occasions. And I would also say this, as much as I hear about the earrings, the other thing, because we just finished a promotion where, actually on Saturday, a jewelry promotion called Bejeweled, and I was on the phone with a few of the managers for the past week. Another big thing that we were selling are bracelets, and mainly cuff bracelets. So like people are in love with their earrings and they love their big bracelets right now.
Okay, and they can see those if they're on Zoom and they're gesturing, you can see them on camera.
They really want to be able to, they want you to be able to see what they just bought, and so it's really got to be something that shows up. That's why I think it's not tiny little things that consumers purchasing for themselves. However, I will say this, the diamond buyer was also, he and I were talking, and he was saying that they're selling a lot of traditional pieces too, but they're tradition with a twist. What did you say? Classic. We're working back to, some of the more basic pieces that they have in their wardrobe. So everybody's been cooped up and they didn't shop for a while, and now they want to shop, and they're going out there and finding the right piece that has more design to it that they can work back to their classics. And really what we're trying to do is make sure that people get very comfortable wearing all colors of gold. You get rose, white, yellow, mix it up, make yourself comfortable. And we know, Cartier did a really good job of marketing that, the 3 colors of gold worn together. And customers are still not as comfortable doing that on their own. So it's key to really tell them, you can do this and it's fine, and be able to make your entire jewelry wardrobe come to life, and you can use all of it at the same time. And finally, because the price of gold has gone up considerably, we are noticing that some of the designers are using less metal and more stone, and it's a good time for them to buy diamonds because there's always the perceived value. I guess really what you could say is that diamonds are more accessible now because there has been there's more in the supply chain than there has been in the past, and so they're much more accessible. So I think the designers are using more diamond, and I think that the consumers, it's very easy to sell a diamond because they understand intrinsically that a diamond is a valuable stone. So it is a good time for jewelry, and it's, I think, a really good time for jewelers who know how to be innovative, and it's also a very good time for big brands like a Van Cleef or a Bulgari or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Eric, can you talk about, okay, jewelry is a high touch purchase when you want to, you want to go in the store and look at it. Are people shopping online or are they shopping in stores now? I mean, because now the stores are back open. Can you talk about that?
During the early days of the pandemic, it was strictly, the stores were closed, so it was strictly online. And yes, we did have quite an amazing online business for bigger brands. However, now that the stores are, that there is a customer who's still shopping online. I'm not going to say that our core customer is back the way she was before, because that's not the case. There's a different customer shopping in the store, and then the core customer, you have to kind of reach out to her and make her want to spend, but she definitely is spending. And I think that it is a high touch business because people are used to coming in and trying on, and you're fitting them with the jewelry. And so now we're having to pivot a bit, and that has to happen either, it's hard to make that happen on a Zoom call. So what do? We end up going to the customer's home. We have invite the customer in for private viewing in the back so that she can sit there. And then we may have a Zoom call with the vendor where they talk about the piece. But I think that you have to figure out what's going to work for you and what's going to work for your customer. And maybe it's an opportunity for us to actually get to know our customers even better.
Now, tell me about that. You were telling me that there was a young customer who is who's spending like $2,000 to $3,000. They're wearing sneakers, but they're still interested in luxury jewelry. So talk a little about them and how they're different now from the past.
So let me just say this. So, everybody thought that when stimulus checks came along that they were rushing out, people were rushing out and buying big TVs. No, they bought jewelry too, and they were buying sneakers, and they were buying, handbags and sneakers. So we saw a lot of different customers who are probably not regular shoppers at Neiman Marcus, but now they're like, you know what, I'm going to go in and buy that Gucci shoe, and then look at those earrings there. And so long as you've got the right look right there for them to see, then that's a whole new customer who's ready to spend. And they're a little bit more price sensitive, so we're really talking like $2,500, $2,500 and under is where they're comfortable. But they want a lot of look for $25 and under, and you can't avoid it. All you need is a few of those.
Wow. Okay. We're going to come back to you, but now we're going to talk to Tara. So Tara, first, give us the scoop on what happened on Sunday night at the Emmys. Because we saw bling on the celebrities at home on Zoom and also on stage. So talk a little bit about that, and then you'll tell me more about how celebrities are approaching fine jewelry. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I mean, the Emmys were truly a celebration, with celebrities opting for high fashion looks for the virtual ceremony. It was quite beautiful, quite an eclectic mix, with also a lot of fun. You saw stars pairing their gowns with sneakers. You saw these sort of tuxedo printed hazmat suits for the presenters, which was amazing. But overall, I thought it was the perfect dose of old Hollywood glamour, balanced with understated elegance, and jewelry was no exception in that. The first presenter of the evening was Jennifer Aniston, and she came out wearing a 50-carat vintage diamond necklace from Neil Lane, then proceeded to keep it on when she went home for her at-home segment in her robe. You had young stars like Zendaya in colorful, opulent jewels. She, for instance, had a 132-carat amethyst and diamond collar necklace. You had Kerry Washington in emeralds and diamonds. Then you had stars like Julia Garner wearing Chanel fine jewelry. She had this insane multi-strand pearl and diamond necklace with a brooch to match, and it became the centerpiece of her look. Then you had stars like Tracee Ellis Ross, who were adorned in fall's hottest trend, a vintage gold and diamond choker from Tiffany & Co. You had Billy Porter rocking a plethora of diamond jewels for Lorraine Schwartz as arm candy. And then you had, Yara Shahidi and Rachel Brosnan sort of wearing the more understated pieces, proving that, diamonds are not just for award shows and A-listers, and should be worn and, amping up everyone's everyday look. I think I've seen a lot of, swinging pendant earrings, a lot of chandeliers, a lot of necklaces and collars, as well as stackable favorites, dripping in diamonds, being worn everywhere from award shows to Zoom calls to supermarket runs.
Okay, so tell me this. Now that the celebrities, because we've had no red carpet for many months. So now that, they're getting back into the swing, I mean, how are you guys helping them decide what to wear? Are they, because I think you mentioned that they're not wearing the opulent clothing that they wore in the past. So talk a little bit about that as they're starting to re-emerge back on the scene.
Yeah, I think celebrities are very conscious at the moment of how they reappear in the spotlight. Since they've been sheltering in place along with all of us for months, you know, I think the cult of celebrity has shifted during quarantine. Attention was shifted to essential workers, to healthcare providers. So stars want to come out and not be received as tone deaf, essentially. So they're going to walk a fine line back to glamour. I think they want to be aspirational and approachable all at once. You know, most like us have spent months in jeans, shirts, and chic pajama sets, and colorful athleisure, and you know, sweatpants. But now they're itching to return to opulence and this bit of escapism. So I think as celebrities and entrepreneurs and influencers start doing more live performances, you know, engage in everything from podcasts to press conferences, they're going to want to remain professional and yet true to themselves, but also be cognizant, you know, of what they're going through, just like the rest of us. So I think what you're going to see is a lot of everyday jewelry, right? I mean, I think that's what me and a lot of other stylists, you know, friends of mine have been talking about is, you know, layering necklaces, keeping it somewhat simple, stacked bracelets, you know, either worn on their own or layered, chain links, which add, you know, the cool factor at the moment, delicate florals, personalized and monogrammed pieces, anything that's just going to sort of add a touch of elegance, especially from the waist up.
Tell me also, you were saying that, you know, the celebrities are still trying to figure out what their comfort level is, but you also told me that you as stylists are starting to pull more jewelry as you anticipate this return to opulence. So you were telling about photo shoots. Can you give us a sense of that?
Yeah, I mean, most people are doing more editorial or content-driven pieces. And as we do so, you know, it's the same type of thing. I think with editorial especially, people are always going to yearn for that escapism. So we are going bigger and bolder in those circumstances. But for press conferences, you know, for upcoming movies and the likes, people are still keeping it somewhat delicate. You know, we're doing a lot of stackables, you know, which is a really great trend because obviously it's very customizable. A lot of diamond hoops, you know, those seem to be a huge celebrity fave. A lot of textured and sculptural pieces right now, a lot of mixing and matching metals. You know, those are really great because they go with virtually anything. So those can, you know, kind of go across the board. A lot of huggies are being worn right now. I think those are really great because they can be layered and sort of create, you know, a more edgy look, but at the same time, you know, just on their own, obviously they just add a layer of elegance. You know, I think a lot of stylists we've been talking about doing, you know, really fun, cooler pieces that sometimes a lot of stars, you know, don't necessarily shy away from, but I think right now this is the element that they can play with. So you're seeing a lot of, you know, ear pins, ear cuffs, a lot of threader earrings, chain drop earrings for a little added fun. Pearls seem to be something that a lot of stars are gravitating towards, mixed with diamond accents. And again, that sort of playful mixture, whether it's metals or also white diamonds, black diamonds, that type of thing.
Okay. Now let's open this up, the discussion up to everybody. So I want you guys to all jump in here. Let's talk about the storytelling part of diamonds. I mean, diamonds, you know, diamonds are forever. There's always been the storytelling part that gives them an allure and a desirability. And so what are marketers doing to make diamonds, you know, sexier, more attractive, more, you know, what needs to be turned up? And I'll open that up to anybody.
Do you want me to take that?
Eric? Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
I was So it's my so I think for me, for us at Adorn, a lot of what we talk about really is how do a lot of the brands that we work really, of course, they want to maintain their established customer, that's a given, but they're also very interested in how they court a new consumer. So they're looking for ways not, you know, to sort of I would call ignite some diamond desire in the younger, you know, the Gen Zs and the young millennials. So I think that there's all sorts of ways to do this. So I think actually there are questions to ask as well. You know, are, for example, the traditional messages around romance and rarities, are these still the messages that resonate? Or is the appeal more about, for example, responsibility and accountability when you're talking to a cohort that's increasingly sustainably minded? I'm not saying I have all the answers to this. I'm probably going to ask more questions than answers, but I think these are things that we can all have milling around in our heads. I think some solutions, for example, we look at the changing nature of family or friendships, new types of relationships. So how can we mark new milestones, new moments, new relationships, including in bridal, if we're looking at things like the LGBTQ, you know, community. I think also what's particularly exciting for me is new ways of showing diamonds. So I think of designers like Nina Runsdorf or Solange Azaguri Partridge, who Solange did this amazing scribble collection, and it's neon pops of scribbled enamel setting with these huge diamonds in the middle, and Nina does the same with you know, sliced and included diamonds with the enamel surrounds. I think something else that we can talk about is authenticity. So, you know, authenticity is such a buzzword. So do we sort of, is the romance of diamonds less about that? But can we talk about the messiness of life? Can we use imperfect diamonds? Can we use rough diamonds? Can we be a bit more authentic in our comms?
Eric, you want to jump in here? I'm just trying to make sure we get everybody. Eric, do you have any ideas about the storytelling? What do you all do at retail?
You know, really the storytelling comes with how well you put it together for a customer. I mean, when we, let's see, I think it was Tara who was talking about, you know, the layered ear. That's really the perfect thing. Sometimes millennials or, you know, really millennials aren't the ones that are shopping at Neiman Marcus for jewelry, but they do influence their parents to a degree. And I think, you know, I'm in my mid 50s, and a lot of the consumers that are buying precious jewelry are, you know, 35 to 70, let's just say that. So many 70-year-olds with like a layered ear, but you're definitely going to have that 55 to 35. All of them will be willing to like have a few more holes in the ear and show me what to do with that. And I think so long as you can go to them with, this is a new look, you know, you say this is an updated way to wear your diamonds. You don't have to really oversell a diamond. When you say it's a diamond, it already starts to sell itself, to tell you the truth. So I think it's just a matter of how you work these really cool new pieces in with some of these pieces that they've already owned and they have most likely in their wardrobe.
And how about for Christmas? Can you tell us, I mean, how are they gonna you packaging this for Christmas? I mean, because this is a time now when I think a lot of people are feeling very sentimental. And so how are you marketing for Christmas at Neiman's?
As much as we're going for, you know what, you've been cooped up a long time. It's time for you to enjoy your life, spend your money, and you know, you've got it. I mean, remember, our customer base is a wealthier person. So, you know, spend your money, you know, you've got it. Let's come in. We've got the best that's out there for you to come in and buy. Now, having said that, we are also marketing to more of an opening price customer, the customer that wants to come in and buy that first little diamond pendant, that little diamond cross. Those are perfect gifts, but they tend to be gifts for others. The consumer that is a good Neiman Marcus customer, she's coming in and she wants, you know, what's the latest, what can I work back, and I want a big piece of jewelry to make me feel good.
Juliet, you want to jump in here?
It's for me, just very quickly, because I know we've got some other points to consider, but for me, it's so much about context, you know, how the designer or the brand actually, you know, what chooses to show the diamond. But also we speak so much about democratization. It's a buzzword at the moment. And as Eric is saying, you know, to make diamonds accessible to an emerging generation is paramount. And to do that, there needs to be an element of irreverence. And we need to kind of reimagine what that could look like.
If I may.
Layer up that ear.
Yeah.
Tara?
Well, you know, just to add to what they were saying, you know, I think right now, you know, attainability and sustainable luxury are really the main focal points from what I see. where essentially the definition of opulence has shifted. And there's sort of a new era of consciousness coming in, where everyone's choices, you know, and obviously with designers are super important, how they relate to their audiences. So I agree that the storytelling element, you know, has profound influence on the selling dynamic, because what makes something more unique is what makes it special. And I do think that right now, you know, the consumer is making purchases on their beliefs. So one tiny little thing I was going to add, you know, which has obviously been popular, excuse me, in the celeb culture right now, is using jewelry as a statement, right? So essentially turning the jewelry or clothing to help promote causes they believe in. So right now, obviously, you know, you're seeing a lot of symbols of luck and love and spirituality, you know, but also, you know, using customization for pieces to say things, you know, vote, resist, Black Lives Matter. You know, you have people like Kamala Harris who are bringing back their sort of signature pieces to make a statement, you know, for her, like, let's say it's her pearl necklace that has been her uniform for years, or someone like Michelle Obama wearing the vote necklace from Baichari at the DNC last month. I think people are really looking towards meaning within each piece as well. And so they're bringing that out with the messaging within each piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, now let's also talk a little bit about designers, because obviously there are the established jewelers, but a lot of established jewelers are now starting to do collaborations with designers and to make things more playful and to bring in the young generation. Anybody have any thoughts about how that is really bringing in a new customer and making diamonds and fine jewelry a lot more exciting? Go ahead, Julianne.
Well, I actually like the idea of collaborations with the consumer. There's a lovely brand, a South African brand called Kirsten Goss, and one of the things that she does is that she takes heirloom pieces. So a customer will come in with bits of chain, a promise ring, a whole lot of different pieces of jewelry that are part of her story or her heritage. And she reimagines what this could look like. And one of the recent pieces that I've seen is actually a beautiful necklace that is made up of all these components of history. And so for me and for Adorn, we are passionate about how brands are engaging directly with the consumer. And this beautiful way of reimagining harnesses something that is very relevant for today, but still contains the story of the past.
Yeah. And it also speaks to individual style. That's something that's really important now. People want to have something that, you know, has their personal signature. Could you all also talk a little bit about digital versus shopping in stores? Because now so many people now are buying so much online with fine jewelry too. So I know it's a combination. Does anybody have any sense of how this is really, with the lockdown, how this has really made this a game changer, shopping online versus shopping in stores?
Instagram.
Go ahead,
Eric. Instagram has been pretty pivotal because the customers are already on Instagram and they're already flipping through, chasing their designers, following everything that they do, the ones that they love. And the designers, those that are good at styling their pieces, that we get calls where people take a picture of their Instagram and they send it in and they're like, I want this. And I mean, and that's why I would say, as for a designer, you really should have a very strong, your own campaign on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. I can also add to that. So for us, the digital and the physical are going to have to coexist. They're just going to look very different. I think what COVID has proved is that we can sell jewelry online. I mean, many of us knew this before COVID, but I think, you know, it's kind of the proof has been in the pudding that we are going to sell high ticket price points online. The physical stores is going to change. You know, it might look like an online distribution hub. It's going to be an experiential playground for the consumer. And the challenge for digital is making online personal. So for us, it's very much about a mono-channel experience where digital and physical are integrated and they're not separated out.
Mm-hmm. As you're saying that, I'm thinking about, you know, Restoration Hardware, where they've changed a lot of their stores so that the store is basically a showroom, and you go to the store and look at the fabric swatches and look at different examples of furniture, home furnishings, then you actually then order online and it gets delivered to you. So that's a kind of an example of both of those together. Yeah, I am now going to see if we can see what kind of questions have come up here, and I'm now looking on the side. Okay, Michelle, are you ready to send me some questions? I see there's been a lot of activity. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this. Okay, here's one question I think that's really interesting. Okay, so sustainability, which of course, you know, this is the buzz across every industry. And so this is a question for any of the panelists. How challenging is it for the fine jewelry industry to accept sustainability as a part of your manufacturing? Are jewelry brands embracing sustainability? And you interpret the word sustainability the way you want. Anybody?
I mean, I think brands in general, you know, the main thing now, because the transparency is what the consumer wants, is that they are going to have to respect the proper practices, you know, and ethical standards that the consumers are demanding, especially, you know, after 2020, because I think there really just has been a shift. The consumer, like I said, is making purchases now acting upon their beliefs. So, you know, authenticity and, you know, the substance of, you know, what the brand can contribute to that process is going to be paramount. People want to know the story of the journey. They want to make sure that from finish, the practices have been appropriate and are truly helping the planet, and the company is, you know, working in an ethical, responsible, and eco-friendly way. So I think it is going to be, it's going to be a shift that is not something that needs to be done. It will be demanded from here on out.
Eric, do you have any more thoughts about that?
Really, for me, it is one of the things that if I'm dealing with a new brand, we do ask those questions. We like to know, where are you getting, you know, your materials from, and, you know, we ask for them to be transparent with us on how things are done, and we're pretty careful about that. I think that's a standard that everyone's living up to, and that's something that I do believe the customers, even if they don't ask the question, it's something that I think that they are they're hoping and they're just sort of expecting from all of us, and so we have to in turn make sure that they are following those type of are following what the consumer is expecting. And I'm trying to be broad and not so specific about something, because I mean, it's really easy to get into the blood diamond world, you know, that whole thing. And that's, you know, that's one of the things that gets the big press out there. That's one of the things that consumers may ask, but there are so many other levels of sustainability that we do ask questions of vendors, just to make sure that we have a good conscience and who we're partnering with for business.
Okay. Now it also, go on, I'm sorry, did somebody else?
No, I mean, just to say, for me, it is, you know, it is about traceability, but also I think we need to look at sustainability as an overarching concept, and, you know, even things like digitalizing the supply chain, which will increase efficiencies, is part of the sustainable conversation. So it can easily go towards one angle, but we see it as a kind of a bigger grouping.
Okay. Okay, now here's another question. This is really interesting. Okay, and the audience noticed, they were noting what Tara said about celebrities and what Eric said about affluent individuals. There seems to be some sensitivity about not appearing tone deaf at a moment when a lot of people are suffering economically. And so how would you guide your clients to avoid this, to still be able to buy beautiful and precious and rare, but at the same time not be out of step with the zeitgeist? Eric?
Well, I can jump in. So go ahead, Eric.
Sarah and then Eric. Okay.
Well, you know, for me, I think when we just, you know, in fittings and the such, you know, I think what we try and, you know, make them understand is that as much as, again, you don't want to feel tone deaf, people are in the mood for a shift. I think people are yearning for new inspiration. They're yearning for a fresh perspective. And of course, a seasonal update right now with fall coming in, everyone sort of wants to just kind of forget about the summer and move on. And diamonds in general, as well as jewelry, just tend to bring joy. And so I think, when you look at jewelry, it can also be seen sort of as one's right. It's a talisman. It's a protector of sorts. And so I think you put it on, you sort of encourage the fact that it makes you feel like a boss, and it makes you feel stable and protected throughout these times of uncertainty. And so I think that, especially with my clients, they're almost looking towards using their clothing to remain a little bit more on the casual side, but the jewelry is what actually adds the lift and the light to their look. So that is actually where we're sort of bringing the laughter and the joy back into, everyone's outfits.
Okay, so diamonds with t-shirts.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Diamonds with sneakers.
Mm-hmm. Eric?
Yep.
And I think it's fair to say though, we haven't seen the same level of spend for customers. So whereas they may have spent $100,000 on a piece in the past, they may be spending of that. Now that's on the high end. That's a big ticket item for us. I mean, my average price point's less than that. But when you're talking about people that are buying the big bling, yes, they probably are not spending as much. We do have people that are, especially on the West Coast, like with all the things happening on the West Coast right now, there's a sentiment that I need to be supporting other with all the fires, that they need to be supporting the communities in different ways. That doesn't mean that they're not going to spend on themselves. That is almost an American pastime, is shopping. So it makes you feel good. Things can be bad outside. What do? You do a little retail therapy. And so I do think that happens. They just might not be spending as much as they did pre-COVID, but they're still happy to shop, and we're still happy to help them find the best thing for their money.
Okay.
With a lot of bling.
Here's another question that came up. We would like to get a sense of what trends we're going to see at the holiday season in the mass market. In other words, mass market fine jewelry. What trends, and also, for example, Maya, I want you to jump in here because you've got the European perspective too. So what are we going to see in the holiday season? Something that, affordable luxury. You want to start that?
Well, I guess we're seeing an ongoing, sentimental jewelry never goes out of fashion, but we're definitely seeing a rise. I think, like Tara was saying, sort of talismanic jewelry, or jewelry that you can apply your own kind of magical feeling towards. So anything like that is always going to do really well. I think Juliet probably would have something to say about that.
I think to the point of how we're dressing, I think anything that has a transitional quality, where ultimately we're in COVID, we're enduring this pandemic, but ultimately there is still a desire to be pleasure seeking. So we expect to see, and actually a return to statement, as Tara was saying, because people are wanting also to show something of their personality, to have the opportunity to dress up, etc., etc. So, like with all things, there's never a one category solution, because jewelry has this wondrous ability to have a great appeal across many different sectors. So I think on the one hand you've got this statement, on the other hand you've got this, as Maya says, a real kind of penchant for sentiment, but also the idea of transitioning. Jewelry that she can just put on and transition between day and night is paramount.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the everyday wear jewelry is going to be very important too. I think that for anybody, never take off, the kind of thing that you put on that you can wear all the time. That's going to be strong. Neiman's is not really a mass marketer, but I do know that the vendors who are presenting, they are presenting sort of their core items that have a little bit more flair to them. But it's like, this is the kind of jewelry that you would wear all the time. You can wear this any place, and everybody has a new take on that. And I will say the other thing is also personalization. Everybody wants their initials these days. Everybody wants something for the initials of their children. So, personalization will be probably the biggest thing that we've got going on.
Mm-hmm. And with that, and also colored gemstone. Any other stones besides diamonds that that you've seen?
Yeah. And for us, for our customer, they love a rare stone. If it, the more you can say this is a rare stone, the more important it is, and the more they'll spend. But then again, I also think that when you have, there are certain stones that have, you know, healing powers, and that is something that people have protective powers. That is something right now that we're all looking for, you know, because we've got customers coming in saying, that everybody's wearing evil eyes, even though they don't know what evil eyes really stand for. But then if you turn around and tell them, okay, this stone it has healing powers, then they're all wanting something with a little bit of a healing power.
Mm-hmm. Tara, for the since you were pulling jewelry for editorial, I mean, what types of trends are you looking? Different colored gemstones or different styles that also would trend this season.
I mean, I think right now, what we're doing is a lot of mixing of fine jewelry with costume or demi-fine jewelry, which is a really fun way of sort of representing, our clients' uniqueness and personality, but making it really fun, and also sort of, again, sort of keeping in that zone where it's not all one thing or another. I think with a lot of my girls, I think, we're seeing a lot of reverting back to old pieces, sort of family heirlooms, vintage pieces, timeless classics. I think for them right now, it's a way to sort of evoke happiness, but in a really personalized way. I also find that a lot of them really want to be very playful, right? So, they're matching their jewelry to their looks or to their masks, using them again, sort of, like, Eric said, using stuff, charms, with like hashtags, for instance, or personalized motifs. She says, little pendants with their children's names or little things. So yeah, you're seeing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask everybody a little lightning round here. Tell me the diamond that you want for this year. If you could choose something. Maya, lightning round.
I want your diamond hoops, Terry.
Oh yeah, let me show off, guys. These are.
I want those.
Yeah, this was. I was trying to replace a missing inside-outside diamond hoop, and I said I'm going to get something different. And when I saw these earrings, because they're diamonds and pearls, and so I had a big birthday. I won't tell you which one, but anyway, I had a big birthday, and so that was my reward. And these are earrings that they're lightweight, and I can wear them with t-shirt, with jeans, or I can really dress them up. So what's your fancy, Maya, for a diamond that you'd like to have?
I'm not joking. I really want your diamond hoops, but I'm genuinely I am a hoop woman, so I think I would have to copy you, Terry. You'd have to be my style inspiration, and I would just love some diamond hoops. That would be my fantasy jewelry.
Right, there you go.
Please I've been a very good girl.
Juliet, what's your
I like a little bit of irreverence. So either something from Maison Coco or Delphine de la Tresse would suit me just fine. Thank you.
What do those look like?
Oh, well, Delphine tends to be quite edgy. She often, one of her collections is inspired by piercings. So she kind of mixes this kind of concept of piercings with diamonds or with pearls, which is really interesting. And Maison Coco Maya's written about in the flash report. She takes vintage pieces and she reimagines them and creates, again, reinvents what they can look like and creates new context for them for a new generation. So yeah, I can't pretend to be a Gen Zer, but I'm definitely a fan.
Okay, Tara, you get to see it all. So what is your...
I do, but that's the irony. What I've seen a lot of my older clients getting more piercings up their ears, which I love. I mean, even Allison Janney, who's 60, got one, and Julie Bowen's got some. So for me, it would be something simple. I think as we come out, people are going to want to do something drastic, right? Cut their hair, get a tattoo, what have you. For me, it would be getting or two and just throw a couple studs in. So that would be what I would do.
Okay. Eric, are you a diamond wearer?
You're not going to get me down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to pick a vendor that I love or something like that because I'll never hear the end of it. But I will say this, if I could do anything, I would get my sister to get a second hold. She's so conservative, and I just think that she should come out of here. She's not going to color her hair. She's not going to get a second. I'll help you find just a beautiful stud to go there. That's my goal for the season.
Oh, wow. Okay. So also, we're wrapping up here, but I wanted to get any little final thoughts on other trends like brooches or bracelets. I mean, bracelets are big. Rings. Any final thoughts on jewelry that people don't have yet, or something that is new and it's gotten people all excited? And we'll just go around another lightning round. Maya.
Oh, trends. I feel like I've covered it all in the report. I'll tell you something I have seen, which is really nice, which I don't think it's going to be a trend, but Nicholas Lewis launched a collaboration with Sotheby's Diamonds. I mean, it's not going to be a trend because it's so out there, but all the diamonds are all set upside down. So the kulit points out, so they're almost like studded. And I just really love, again, like Juliet used the word irreverent. I love that irreverence in diamond design in this luxury thing. And I would love to see more irreverence coming through in diamond design. So that's my wish trend rather than maybe a trend. Does that answer?
Okay, Juliet?
Okay, for me, it's all about chain. I just think chain is one of the most versatile components in jewelry. We've seen for a while now a lot of curb chain, and I would say that curb chain, a kind of clavicle, flat curb on the clavicle would be one that I would put money on.
Tara.
For me, I think as we sort of enter this new era of inclusivity, it would be gender-free jewelry. I think, you're going to see an increasingly fluid world around us. And so I think that's going to be a big trend that comes out where designers, if they're smart, hop on board and take the opportunity to really design without gender constraints, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, unisex. Okay, and Eric, finally.
So I'll close with a funny story, and I will use this name,
great.
Anita Ko. Anita Ko, we were doing a shoot. I called in a ring from her. She called me and said, Eric, you don't use one ring. She goes, nowadays it's 2 or 3 rings. And I said, oh, really? She said, yes, one is so passe. So she sent 3 rings. We shot it with 3 rings. And the key right now, it's a layer. You have multiple earrings. You have layered necklaces, multiple bracelets, and more than 1 ring on. There you have it.
All right. Okay, well, I want to thank our panel. Let's give us all an applause. You guys were great. And I hope that all our audience got some good ideas and some food for thought and thinking about, diamonds and fine jewelry in a new way that's also accessible, irreverent. I'm thinking of all the buzzwords that came up today, the inclusivity. I mean, that, fine jewelry just has, just keeps evolving. Layered, yeah, that's a great word. Keeps evolving, and yes, and the celebrities are finding new ways to still keep us interested in it, and so it's just not just a big blingy piece, but it's something that's very personal that means something to people. All right, so thank you very much, and that concludes our panel today. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.